Hello and welcome to Inside News. I'm Dale Matthews. We're joining Mike Jones on assignment. Many times I've said that we function as kind of the rock in the middle of the river. You know, all this stuff flowing by, and our job is to stand there rock solid and give you the information that you need to know and not be swayed by this. So Mike has chosen a good position, although a little cold. Mike, what you doing, Bear Bud?
Yes, and I got my pants all rolled up, and I have my took off my socks here. My feet are getting a little bit cold, and as you can tell, yes, I'm out on the road. I'm in the Rogue River, as you might be able to tell.
Oh, please turn off that babbling, Brooke. We have enough babbling on this show as it is.
Okay, all right.
Thank you. I feel like I got to go to the bathroom now.
Just a little change up of the background. That's all.
That's nice. So as you can see, Mike is truly in deep water.
Yes, as I most often am.
Okay, so we're going to start tonight with a Senate joint resolution, and Mike is going to explain to you what the state Senate has in mind for us. Ooh, this is lovely. Go ahead.
Well, and thanks to Vivian Kirkpatrick Pilger for posting this in Josephine County Politics this afternoon. Essentially, most of what you need to know about this joint resolution that's being considered. Now, this would have to amend the Constitution of the state of Oregon. So I believe that that's going to have to go to a vote of the people statewide. But what they want to do is, for property tax purposes, each unit of property in this state shall be assessed as provided by law at the real market value of the property. Now, if you've bought and sold a lot of houses, or heck, if you've just owned a home, you probably should know that, generally speaking, the assessed value of the property is considerably under the market value. And so what this would be is a massive tax increase statewide. And that would
mean something like 300 to 500, for example.
Yes, yeah. In many cases, like, you might have a property that's worth, say $300,000, and it may be assessed at 175 or 200. Well, if they're successful in passing a levy somewhere down the road where they get a couple of dollars per thousand times 100,000, that's a lot of money. So we should be concerned that, yet again, and listen, there's no stop to this. They're never going to stop wanting more of your property taxes, or more tax from your property, or for whatever other reason they could possibly come up with to take more money from you. They're never going to get enough of that. So I say you should stop them. Listen, do not allow them to begin living a lifestyle to which they will become accustomed, because soon they'll become bored of the toys that they can get with that, and add more to it. And so I just say no, no, and no.
What can we do as citizens, Mike?
Well, you're going to have to make a stink about it. Don't vote for it. Here's the problem: is that a good portion of the state is occupied by people who just love taxes, who think that that's a wonderful thing, and we really need to give the more money to government so they can do the good works that we don't want to do ourselves.
Well, they've reached right down into our county, haven't they? I mean, we've got 3 county commissioners who are constantly banging the drum for things like levies. What is the difference between those northern legislators and Cheryl Walker and Keith Heck and Simon Hare?
Yeah, good question. Good question. I don't know.
Well, there's something we can do about that, isn't there? Okay, so I was going to share a little something here with you that just recently came out in the in the Daily Courier. It's just a small little thing, and it's a goofy little thing. They wrote an article today. It was in the newspaper about the demise of Jack Swift. And here's what they wrote, quote, Josephine County Council Wally Hicks said he always considered Jack a food friend. He was a gifted lawyer and a dedicated member of the community. You know,
hey, maybe they often dined together. Who knows?
Oh, I would like to think that they're going to put out some kind of correction soon that Jack Swift wasn't necessarily Wally Hicks' food friend. He obviously meant good friend.
Yes, of course. I was going to make a joke, and you always wonder if it's too soon.
Is it in good taste? Yeah, probably not.
Well, we were just,
if you want good taste, why are you at this show?
We're just hoping that Jack is no longer with us, but not because he was Wally Hicks' food friend. I know it's
there's horrible. All kinds of things about poisoning the waters and never mind. Yeah.
I hope, Jack, if you're watching,
yes, he's probably laughing.
Please forgive me. That was yes, it was unforgivable. There. So
well, we always in our family was always at a funeral you would go and you would tell amusing stories about the person that had passed.
Of course.
And maybe have a drink or two. Since I was a kid. So all right, so we're going to talk about what happened Thursday. There were so many things that happened at Thursday week, the Thursday admin session, that we're now going to share another one for you. Now, this is going to be somewhat alarming to people. At the beginning, this little segment sounds like, well, of course, all this stuff happening in Malheur County, and Cheryl Walker in particular would really like to find out what kind of information we need to do to stop such a thing here. She's going to feel this way. Remember the stand that she took on saying that we don't have to worry about Al Qaeda or the flavor of the month ISIS, because we've got more terrorist things coming from rural conservatives.
Oh, right. Mm-hmm.
So what's Cheryl's point of view about all this? Well, let's see, and then you judge for yourselves. We can stop at any time you like, Mike.
I had asked the legal counsel on the situation of taking place in Harney County. Does that have any spillover impact here? Is that something that we would need to address, would like to address? I would like to know what the heck is going on the potentiality of actions or whatever.
I have been talking to legal and to the sheriff, and we are putting together a fact-finding meeting, and that I will be attending, and then bringing some information back to the board, and then we'll have a discussion how we want to proceed.
Oh, wait a minute. A fact-finding meeting about Harney County? Really?
Yeah, I don't know what that means at all. Are they going to talk about? Yeah, I mean that's not very informative, but okay.
Oh, but that's not what they have in mind. You can bet your boots on that. Just a second, and we'll hear what she has to say more.
If that's okay.
And then the fact finding is being conducted by
with
the sheriff.
Yes, sheriff, state police, city.
What?
The enforcement.
What kind of enforcement?
The turnaround for that is going to be ASAP.
ASAP. Trying to get it set up right now.
Well, I think it's important for us to do our diligence, as it was talked about yesterday and what I'm reading. There's a lot of information running around. I'm not necessarily interested in the specifics. Mine is more of a general policy idea. These things are escalating. We have the seeds in our county for this same situation to occur here. What is it that we should be doing? I think that's the question. In anticipation of this, not just the dust isn't settling from that.
No, and the purpose and the reason of me meeting with the authorities is to see what they already have discussed and what role we can play in that, and then how we can set our policy, how we can do that, because I don't want us to move forward and recreate the wheel on some of the things they may already have in place. And so we can incorporate that into whatever we do. And
now, wait a second. with this group of commissioners, do you really want them involved in setting some kind of policy?
Well, listen, they didn't do anything the last time. I mean, when Sugar Pine Mine, when that was going on, they didn't do anything. And the only officer of the county that had anything to do with anything would have been the sheriff, and he didn't do anything either. So,
No, he didn't.
I don't really understand what sort of policy they'd be coming up with, or why they'd be pursuing a policy.
And who, when you think about it now, who are these law enforcement officials? They're going to meet with the sheriff. Well, that's easily done.
Right.
They're going to meet with who else? Who else would you think that they're going to meet with that has information that would be very valuable to setting policies?
Yeah, I don't know.
Really? Now, who would that be? Keep listening.
I don't know. Oh, okay.
I think starting with them would be,
We can at least be aware of it.
Right.
It seems like there's different things that they do as opposed to us.
Right.
What we do as far as policy, I don't know, we need to do what, but there are things.
but they may have information that we need to do that.
Sure.
They do.
So
Who are they?
Well, that sounds
I've
good.
undertaken that. I've undertaken that already.
Was proposed for next week-ish?
I am trying to, I know Terry is working on it right now and getting the people together.
The
So
people.
hopefully we'll have something that we
Yes.
can discuss within a week or so.
With whom?
So she's going to come to We the People then, I guess.
And appropriately considered within executive session.
Yes.
Oh, of course.
Oh,
We could put this on a discussion for that, and they could be running parallel. And then we just get more information. Because I think the time is very,
That's what I'm trying to get put together.
no, it's great. Yeah, it's good.
Because I know that some of the things that we will need to discuss will need to be in executive session. And I wanted to have that information before we got into it. So, okay.
So my stuff is less executive session, just general policy. What can we do to be more active and engaged with both sides of these discussions? To say,
Both sides.
we don't need this to happen here. We don't want this to happen. We can do something. These are the three things we are going to plan to do in advance.
Mhm.
The issues that we're aware of, and I mentioned yesterday that, I think of probably 10 different situations, hopefully none of which are actually that grave where people are going to prison, but potentially so.
Well, I mean, the thing that I want to make sure everybody understands is that this is not some cabal of secrecy.
No, it's just an executive session.
Right.
No, this includes all the sides. There are not two sides of this issue. There are multiple sides. And make sure that all those sides understand nothing is being done behind their backs or in secrecy or something. And it's going to be some grand scheme announced of how everybody's problems are going to be addressed. That's not the issue, but make sure everybody understands they've got the opportunity to vent, to talk, to decry, or whatever they want to do. But the county government is sensitive to that and is trying to make some forward progress on this so that everybody knows what's going on and we're all on the same page.
Like Commissioner Harris.
Dale, I've got a suggestion to how they could deal with this. And here, let me just read it right here. Intent. The intent of this charter amendment is to provide the citizens of Josephine County with local protection of one of their inalienable rights as originally defined by our founding fathers in the U.S. Constitution and Bill of Rights. And
I recognize that as coming straight from the county charter.
That's right. And it's like, hello, the charter talks about stuff like this. And basically, these charter amendments are meant to support the rights of the people in your county against the tyranny of government coming in from the outside. That's the whole
These
point.
are rules. These are rules to hold back the government. That's what it's all about.
Of course. And so what happened up in Harney County? What was the point of that? Now, listen, I question the judgment of these guys go and take over, that wildlife refuge. Goofy, if you ask me. But let's say, for instance, you're talking about somebody who has a mining claim and believes that they have a right to the mining claim, and the claim of the BLM that they don't have a right to their claim has not been adjudicated. Then what? How does this come into play? It comes into play because you protect the rights, and one of the rights that people have given by the Constitution, whether it's in here or not, is the right to due process. It is in here, by the way. Just so you know.
Do you think that that's what they're talking about here? To protect,
I don't think.
And the reason that they're going to have it in executive session, in secret session. Well, let me just be sure. This is nothing is in secret. However, we're going to be holding it in a secret session. But I just want to be sure that you understand it's not a cabal of people who are planning things in secret, although we'll be planning them in secret.
Yes. If you're asking me, I'd say that what's going on here is them making plans as to when it's the appropriate time to start shooting. What else is it? Okay. What else needs to be dealt with there? The sheriff is going to take every situation that comes up individually. He's going to deal with that on a case-by-case basis. What is it as a policy that they can hand him and go, we've determined that this is our policy. Here you go, Sheriff. First of all, he doesn't have to. He's under no obligation to take any sort of advice from them as to how he handles a law enforcement situation. None at all. Now, he does theoretically take an oath to this, although it's not spoken. They all understand that this is what they're supposed to be. These are the guidelines. This is sort of the Josephine County Constitution.
Just a second. When Sandy Casanelli took office, she told the judge, I would like to also swear to defend the charter. And the judge says, you will not be allowed to do that. I'm not making that up.
Yeah. Well,
now,
I don't.
The judge can throw me out. You're now disbarred from office. Okay, but I'm going to swear to uphold the charter.
Yeah, what's he going to do? I don't see that he would have any standing in telling you that you can't take an oath to the charter, to the chortle. No, to the charter. I don't see how they could do that. But the point is that don't we have a document already that tells us how to deal with this stuff? What is it that you're going to come up with? Some a plan as to when to deploy the SWAT team? Is that what you're going to come up with?
This is not about coordinating with the sheriff. Mm-hmm. That's already there. He's already said, this is about coordinating with the BLM. You listen, you'll hear, with the BLM, with any other group, NSA. This is right. You think I'm being alarmist?
No. Listen, I'm sure it's how we're going to accommodate them. Let's talk for a second at who did what up in Harney County. The people that apprehended this group and killed one of them. That was the state police and the FBI, for crying out loud. That wasn't the sheriff. The sheriff had nothing to do with that. I'm not even sure if they gave. Yeah.
Right. What fact finding are they talking? They're not talking about Harney County fact finding. You can get that from the newspaper, maybe not ours, but another newspaper. No, they're talking about, and you'll see this confirmed by the tape, but you got to listen. They're talking about getting together with the BLM, with the FBI, with any other law enforcement agencies, not the sheriff, finding out what kind of agents they have in place and what kind of facts they're gathering on a 24-hour basis by the people they planted inside Oath Keepers, miners, Malheur County, and 912 Group, and Facebook, and all these places, because we are considered to be, as Cheryl Walker said, we're considered to be rural conservatives that could just blow up at any moment.
Okie dokie.
Who are their agents in place? We've seen people who you're wondering, who the heck is this guy and why is he here?
Right.
All right, I'm not being conspiracy theorists, but of course they're doing that.
No, that's legitimate. You may even find that there are people that we know, that we all know, that are a part of this network of people that are to infiltrate, other groups and find out what they're doing and be informants for the federal government. We just don't know these things, and it's a likelihood. So be aware.
Here's a little bit more from this backroom tape.
Parallel activities that we will need to do. Some of those of necessity will have to be done in executive session. But as far as education and prevention and information and public involvement and all that stuff, that's something that we can work on once we know what these agencies may have in mind. They may have some information that we need to use to
there you go
with those education types of things. Maybe they know some things we don't know.
No, you know what this is? This is the exact same thing she was talking about in the weekly business session that time, talking about how the big threat to America is right-wing terror groups. She's talking about and how we can educate our kids to, narc daddy off. Does your dad wear camo a lot? Does he hunt? Does he talk about the Constitution? He's probably a bad guy. You better report him. Listen, this. It seems crazy, but this is what we're talking about here. This is exactly what we're talking about.
Well, they're scared to death. Really, they're scared to death. These guys are. You see, all the security operations that they do, they've added on these little keypads to the women's bathroom across the hall. They wanted to wall off Wally Hicks. That's not necessary anymore because Wally's with them now. They wanted to wall off Wally Hicks behind the same kind of thing with glass. Cheryl proposed that. They wanted to stop people being able to enter without some kind of guard and etc. watching them into their whole floor because they're convinced that the big threat is not to the courts upstairs. Because sometimes people who break the law go to court. They're concerned that they're at danger. This is what the emergency button is for. This is why there was somebody, when we couldn't afford to do patrols, we had a patrolman inside the Ann Basker during the meetings. Because you never know when I might take over the meeting, because I'm a pretty bad guy.
Yeah.
Or big bad Sandy Casanelli walks in the door. It's the best ex-commissioner we've ever had. She likes that. Okay, there's a little bit more.
That's what I mean. And that's why I want to start there before we go ahead and start. And then they come back and say, maybe you forgot to do this. And I want us to do that. We want to know that, where they are, what they have done, what resources maybe they have for us to go ahead and do that.
Relationships they have.
Relationships.
Right.
It's all right there, buddy.
Relationships they have with who? See what I'm talking about? I thought I was being a little tinfoil hatty here a couple of minutes ago, but that's exactly what they're talking about.
What resources do they have? What relationships do they have? Relationships? The BLM has relationships with these groups? They do? Sure they do. I'm making this up. Okay. So, next little subject to think about. There were a number of people a couple of years ago who felt and still say that when someone's in prison, that it really would, a local prison, that it would really be a good idea if they had to pay off some of the money that we pay to keep them going in prison. They've had their fair day in court. Right. Well, I don't know in these courts, but supposedly they've had their fair day. They're put in local jail. Mm-hmm. And now there are a number of people who say, if they're going to run up the taxpayers' bills, then we should get reimbursed for part of that. Mm-hmm. So what do you think that Keith Heck, Cheryl Walker, Simon Hare think about such a plan? Well, here's what they say.
Okay, Connex Information System.
Yes, and we may not have been joined by a member of the sheriff's office, but essentially they have asked to terminate the contract with Connex. This is a contract dedicated to getting reimbursement from inmates for their stay at the facility. And there has been some there's been some concern about the practice that did wind up in our office. And so if you need more elaboration, I can try to do that, but otherwise it has been determined by the sheriff's office that the sheriff that he'd like to terminate the contract. And so we're sending a 90-day termination.
This board, and was frankly a pilot opportunity to see whether or not it would be, the previous sheriff brought it to that board. And we were really just supposed to try it for a year and review it at that point. I've never really done a comprehensive review of the effectiveness. One of the concerns I think at the time was, so people are in jail, their whole lives have changed. They probably lost their job and capacity to earn revenue, and then when they get out, they're going to be hit with a bill of, you're in for 10 days, that's $50 a day, that's $500. They don't have $500 to make their car payment, let alone pay us back. I understand that, they were in there because they victimized somebody, and now the society potentially.
And I've not railed against it, but I've argued against this whole program ever since the beginning. To me, this is just a make crook policy.
Kick them while they're down, huh?
I don't know that I was 100% done, but at some point there's got to be a victim in order for a crime to occur,
Hey!
society or otherwise. And that's why I think the general sentiment from the public was, wait a second, they just did something wrong, and now we're paying for them to, and it costs us no less than 80, 90, our official is $106 a day to incarcerate somebody. And it just seems, as a bridge between, it's not the whole cost, part of the cost. I think we can assess up to $60. We chose $50. I don't think it's been very effective as far as, and I agree that if there's any kind of a negative element to it, it was something worth trying.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. Shall we move this one forward as well?
Deep sixing this thing.
Yes.
Well, what's I'd like to see the spreadsheet on this. I'd like to see how much money they've actually been taken in, because I don't have any problem with, listen, if you cause damage to somebody that causes some cost to be incurred, why should you not pay for that? I don't care about, listen,
they're only paying for half of it. As he just said, they're only paying for half of it. And Simon he just told you, he hasn't really looked at this. So why is anybody saying it's a failure? It's not going to work. I don't want it.
Right.
Why?
Is this the same that I haven't looked at it as the state lands within the county, which we haven't been paid anything on in like 15 years or more? Is that the same? If it is, listen, why aren't these decisions, when they're talking about this thing, why are they just having a cursory conversation about the topic generically, instead of looking at having the spreadsheet right in front of them? Well, this is what it nets. This is what it doesn't. These people don't, perhaps we could put somebody chasing these people down after they get out of jail to make sure that they pay these fines or whatever.
Time, give them 5 years, whatever.
Yes, I'm interested in, let's see the numbers on this. I think if you rob people of the opportunity to rehabilitate themselves, and listen, who bears the brunt of rehabilitating yourself? There's so much that a government can propose, and they'll keep proposing stuff until they run out of other people's money. They will eventually, run up against that barrier, because they have plenty of good works that they'll do with other people's money. And ultimately, there's literally no end to them proposing things like that. So this here, where somebody actually is billed, takes sort of some of the burden, half of the burden of this person, causing damage to the community by us having to pay for their stay in jail. Why is that bad? I mean, I want to see the numbers. Show me it's bad.
They don't want to see the numbers. They don't want to see the numbers. You just heard Simon say that he hasn't really looked into it. Keith Eck has said he's been against it from the beginning. Based on what? Based on the fact that we're asking these criminals to pay half of the fee? We're paying, now we'll pay all of it. This is going to be at the weekly business session tomorrow as just, you know, a little thing. It's just added on. And this is the kind of stuff that happens in the little back room on a weekly basis. And we try to tell you about it because these are the changes that they're making. And you saw the logic that they used. None.
Well, you know what? Listen, I think sentences are light enough as they are. You know, I mean, just because they don't have money and, you know, we take these people in and kick them out. And a lot of times we don't even incarcerate them. We just give them a ticket and send them down the road. Now in Russia so one time or another, if you got caught stealing a piece of bread, they sent you to the gulag or something, you know? So let's get things into perspective here. There has to be some sort of a deterrent for people. And, isn't that nice? That was a nice lockup for my face there.
I saw that. Yeah.
You know,
water damage.
Water damage. Yes, I'm getting waterlogged. Let's see the numbers, for crying out loud.
They don't. Well, we will never see the numbers. There's not going to be any analysis. There won't be any spreadsheets. They're not going to talk about it. This is a done deal. This is how they do business. Okay.
That's bizarre.
All right.
Bizarre.
Next, we have the health director. She comes in and gives them a little update about the Zika virus. No, it's not somebody that pulls weeds and trips on rocks. It's the Zika virus.
Yes.
And also
the Zika virus. That's a whole nother ball game, people.
And when she says mouth and foot, she's not talking about hoof and mouth disease. But I will put it to you that it turns out that we know now, the little bit that we do know, is that this lady went down to one of those countries where they have such things, and it doesn't have to be Africa. I mean, it's in the Caribbean now. Right. And she went down there when she was pregnant. She comes back, delivers a baby, and now there's Zika virus showing up at a local hospital. It's not going to, you know, infect you. Mosquitoes didn't come flying out of her. At least I hope not. And so you don't need to worry about that. It's her and the baby, and it's a relatively mild kind of thing that can be dealt with. Boy, I look like I'm hopping mad or something, don't I? I'm not. Okay, but the one that's more concerning to me, and the one we've heard nothing about, maybe you guys have, we've heard nothing about this at a local elementary school. They've got, it's not hoof and mouth disease, but it is passed from one slobbering kid to another. Okay, so here's our health director.
On Friday, January 22nd, we were notified by a local physician that she was going to deliver a baby the next day with the suspect Zika virus. So both mom and child are suspect. We submitted the lab samples directly to the Centers for Disease Control. It'll take about 3 weeks to get those results back, but we're actively engaged in monitoring the health status of that child and her mother. Just as a matter of information, when I get CDC notifications about diseases and communicable things that are going on, I push them out directly to CEOs of various healthcare organizations within our communities and ask them to push that out to their providers to try to spread the word as much as we can.
To the providers.
And another communicable disease issue I found out about just this morning is we have a small outbreak of hand, foot, and mouth disease at a local elementary school. 4 kids in a 4th grade classroom have been infected, and we're working with the school on that.
I'm laughing at it, but it doesn't have anything to do with moisture.
I mean, that is communicable how? By transmission, by touch situation? It's not a viral thing, or?
I don't know the specifics on that, Commissioner Heck. I literally found out about this 10 minutes before.
And that's not a transmittable.
It's a communicable disease.
Okay, I was thinking it was transmittable only on by some,
All four of these kids
Mosquito or
are,
something.
all four of these kids are in the same classroom.
okay.
The mosquito issue is the Zika issue.
Yes.
And that's
So
also
that's a refrain, the Zika, that's not a communicable situation.
No.
not between people. and
Actually,
people.
it
It's
is.
mosquito-borne
Okay, but the other foot and mouth, that is a communicable.
It is.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah,
Um,
I heard
it's
on
It does?
I heard on the radio today that there was an actual case of the Zika virus being transmitted sexually. And the CDC has actually confirmed that. And it was somebody that went to one of these other countries, came back, and then had sex with somebody and actually transmitted that disease. So,
Really?
Yeah. So it's I just heard that today on the radio. So it's something that people ought to be concerned about. Certainly, I'm assuming that there's some method of treatment that ultimately makes it so at some point they don't have that virus any longer. But as you
my
might
understanding is there's no antidote and there's no treatment. You just kind of wait. You just keep them separated from everybody else, and don't have sex with them.
Right. Well, so then what happens, if said person is roaming around out where there's a whole bunch of mosquitoes or something during the summertime and, has, contact with a bunch of other people.
Good point. Good point.
I mean, this is, I'm certain that that's how this Zika virus is contracted to begin with.
Yes.
So it's worth I don't know it's worth worrying about, but it's certainly an issue.
My personal feeling is I would think that parents that are involved with that elementary school would be more concerned about the transmission of this among fourth graders than we should all be concerned about this virus.
Right. And as to the hand, foot, and mouth disease, I'm not sure what that is, but I'm assuming that it has something to do with hygiene and
yeah. It's apparently there's no vaccine about this either. You just ask the kids to stop slobbering on each other. This is the best we can do from the little back room. All we can do is report to you what they're saying. Okay. Here's what I consider to be the most, they're all important in their own way. Here's yet another story. Now, this one is about how the levy push is continuing. You have the Arthur O'Hare coming in, and he's getting his instructions, you should put quotes around that word, about gathering information, which they're then going to pass on to SOS. We told you about the SOS story yesterday. And he's already doing it. See, the thing to remember is this whole thing looks like it's staged for the camera. But I say the camera, there's just one there. And they're giving him instructions about go and gather up information because we're going to need this for a 5-year, a 3-year plan. And so we want you to gather it. He's already doing it. So here's what they have to say. This is another Cheryl Walker plan.
I have something that's probably more appropriate for the February 11th, but I think it's good. This is the first I've heard of the February 11th meeting. So
okay, sorry. There's a little insert here. Cheryl Walker informed the other two commissioners. At this point, Keith Eck is gone. He's been leaving early recently. I don't know why. She informed the other two commissioners that on February 11th, they're going to have a grand plan to lay out a 3 to 5 year plan, a grand meeting about this. She didn't tell the others that this was happening. It's a fairly large deal, and they're going to lay out their priorities and what the budget numbers are. Does it sound familiar? And what's going to fail because there won't be any SRS payments. It's an emergency situation now, and how everything's going to be bad if we don't get, I don't know, some kind of funding from some other place other than the government. Where could we get such a thing? And she's calling this meeting, but Simon Hare didn't even have a clue, and neither did Keith, as you could see on another part of the meeting, didn't have a clue that this was happening, and she set it up and put it on she's part of this whole thing, and she's
Yeah.
going to take the information and pass it on to SOS so it can look like it's citizen originated,
Yeah,
and you
I'm
were
not-
paying for it.
Yeah, I'm not fooled by this at all. What this is some sort of a plan to enact 3453. You know, it's because she knows darn well that the people they're not gonna vote for a property tax. They're just not going to, and so she is enacting some sort of a plan. We better watch her, every single thing she does, and understand what it's leading up to.
Well, all three of them, because just act as if May has come and gone. These two not these two. Well, it should be this guy too, but Keith Heck and Cheryl Walker are no longer. They are lame ducks, and as we've already seen with Keith, they're going to insert all the little poison pills they can into the system, and our job will be more important than ever is keeping an eye on these guys and telling you what they're trying to do. They're banging the drum for SRS. No, they're not. They're banging the drum for SOS, right? What they're going to try to do is they're going to try to push something on you while you're not looking. Oh, they won't do it in November because there's going to be a lot of people voting in November. Are you kidding me? But they'll do it in May. This is levy 2017, way ahead of time.
Mm-hmm.
Here we go.
We just scheduled it yesterday.
Which is great.
I think it was yesterday or the day before.
Good idea,
Yeah.
not to have one annually.
This goal setting.
Yeah, the goal setting, so.
Goal
we'd like to
setting.
have
A lot of that has to do with finance.
Finance here.
So, I think outlining the projected shortfall is a conversation.
Oh, yeah.
Starting with the proposed, a la carte levy proposal to outline that. And so the reason why we needed that, I think that effort.
The reason why we needed that?
I was talking with Douglas County about their efforts to just codify it by.
No, wait a minute. Simon voted against this. And then he
Right.
came to a weekly business session. He said, I'm totally against this. And now he's talking about the reason that was a plan that needed to be moved forward. Sound a little political to you?
Well, okay. Just for the record, when the opportunity comes in the future that somebody needs to be recalled, can we understand that just because someone announces that they're going to do a recall, perhaps we should try to beat said person to the punch because it's serious business. And, this guy, he can't keep his story straight. A lot of what he says is for public consumption, but he doesn't really believe it. And the bottom line is these people are executing a plan here, and the plan is to hit us. And what they'll hit us with, I saw Tony Webb put something in it. Isn't the scuttlebutt that they're going to pass some $2.59 blah 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 at some point in the future, and talking about this May of 2017 thing? And I went, okay, where's that coming from? Where is that scuttlebutt emanating from? And I haven't gotten an answer to that yet, but I really do want to know, like, who is the source? Maybe she wanted to have some piece of information she was going to put out there, but not tell us who it's coming from.
Yeah. Well, and also, when you think about it, her 99-cent levy looks a lot better when compared with $2.57, right?
Yeah, I'm concerned that ultimately, if they push to enact something like that, because of the SRS going away, and we shoot it down, then 3453 comes right on the heels of that. I don't trust these people as far as I can throw them.
Well, the other thing to remember, and we're repeating this so that you know, Mike, what was it that Representative Walden said about the input that he's getting on just saying we don't say anything about SRS because we want to pass a levy? Who was it that was telling him that?
I don't know who it was that was telling him that. I just know that it's probably our board that's been telling him that.
He said local officials.
Okay,
Now,
well, there
who
you
the
go.
heck do you think he's talking about? Not you, but anybody. Who are you talking about? Let's see, local officials. Well, gosh, let's see. There's the mailman.
Right. The point being is that these people, most people in local government right now do not have your back. They want funding, and you be damned. They will get their funding, and they will get their funding from you, and they will force somebody else. They will force you roundaboutly to pay a higher level of property tax, perhaps even a level that you cannot afford. And, that's coming. So these people are not your friends. It's unfortunate that we don't have friends in office, people that are concerned with, keeping the size of government small, the expenses small, and, to be wise about how money is spent and how people are impacted by government policy. And we don't have those kind of friends right now. These people only want one thing. You need to pay more money because I'm not getting enough to do the great things that I want to do for all of you.
Well, the finance director for the city, and he's also the head of SOS, appeared in a big opinion piece today in the Courier, the thing that we told you about a couple of days ago. Okay, it just appeared almost word for word of what we told you, what we read to you. Is it any coincidence that the videotape that you're now watching is with the finance director for the county? So the finance director for the county is being instructed by the commissioners to gather information for something that no one's heard of before, even Simon hadn't heard of before, a plan, a scheme by Cheryl Walker to put together, well, not a 5-year plan. Yeah, that's too far out. A 3-year plan, one that would just bridge the idea to the SOS. And then they're going to pass this information straight on to SOS from one finance director to another finance director. But what did the Courier say? Well, they said that Jay Meredith is the head of SOS. He's also something else there, boys.
Yeah. He's the city finance director or deputy finance director or something like that, isn't he?
Yeah, and from the people who brought you the Grants Pass sales tax.
Right, exactly. And cuffs. He's been involved in cuffs and SOS, and there I'm freezing again. What the heck?
Yeah. All right. Let's go back to the videotape. Well, go ahead, Mike.
Okay. Well, wait just one second here. I think it's instructive to note, and they don't care about this fact at all. If the ideas that they were pushing were so fantastic, you would have a whole bunch of people going, yeah, that sounds like a great idea. Yeah, let's jump on that. They have this posted all over Facebook. Jay Meredith is posting this personally with his own Facebook account all over Facebook. Nobody cares. Nobody is commenting. Nobody is liking his comments. This is just a front to get it out there. And this is another really, really, really bad idea. I suggest that you all go to their Facebook page or look at the Courier and see what they have written up in there. This is bad. They have a plan, and the plan is to enact 3453 and to come down on you as hard as they possibly can, and no one in our local government is going to care about it at all. They want more of your money.
Them. Our local government is helping them, and they're spending your tax dollars to grab up the information they need. Gee, how fast will the jail close coming up here pretty soon? Or just how many children will be suffering from
right.
Can you codify that for us?
Yes, that's exactly what Arthur O'Hare is going to come up with. And listen, I'm telling you, this is being telegraphed way ahead of time.
Yes.
Be ready for this, and you best be ready to react substantively to this, because you need to cut these people off. Just say, hey, listen, no more. You don't get any more unless we say you get more. Do you understand that? Do you understand it? And the people who are working for us that go around our backs to the state, those people are enemies of the people of this county. Enemies. Okay.
And the other thing is, Well, one could look at this. We try to do this. We do try. Well, but now wait a minute, Dale and Mike. What about shouldn't the county commissioners be making long-range plans? They've been in there for 3 years, 3+ years. Have they ever done it before? Did Cheryl Walker mention Simon Hare that it was even going to happen? So why is this suddenly coming up with nobody knowing anything about it? Gee, what's the thing that's coming up? What could possibly be a meeting that Cheryl already went to with somebody like Jay Meredith talking about levy 2017, and we need more information from the county? Well, let's see. We've already assigned Arthur O'Hare to get the information. Now let's have a meeting for the camera where we're talking about why it's absolutely essential for the county to spend taxpayer money on generating this information, and then we'll pass it right on to you. Come on. We're not fooled by this.
Yeah, this is
the way out.
Yeah, I'm telling you.
Spend your money at the last couple of months.
This is not good. This is not good at all, and we best be paying attention to it. Best be paying attention, and listen. It's very, very important that we primary Cheryl Walker. We make her a lame duck from not from November, but from May. Let's just get her out, and then what we need to do, we need to be very, very vocal about this. When we get her primaried, we need to be saying, listen, we don't want you enacting any more policy at all. As a matter of fact, we don't even want you being the chair anymore. I'd be perfectly fine. You give the chair back over to Simon or give it to the appointee. Well, there is not going to be any replacement of Simon. Too bad.
No, that's bad because Mark Kelsey has helped us with that. Thanks a lot, Mark.
Yeah. So what we need to replace her as chair because this woman is bad news. This woman wants to shove this 3453 down your throat. Don't
leave out Keith Eck. Don't forget Keith Eck made us a promise. And remember the tape I will never do this. And then when they're talking about this, Keith is in the little back room. He forgets the camera is running. Well, I'm not adverse to giving it a good old college try. Keith, he got handed his head on that one and then he reversed, but he is not adverse to, of course, and even Simon, you just heard him say so. Well, it's kind of an idea, time has come, and what?
Well, you know what?
But you know what I'm saying.
It may well be that Keith Heck and Simon Hare aren't even following what it is that she's planning. This thing with Jamie, certainly they have to have read this piece.
Yes.
And how it has all these pronouncements about what the BCC shall do. I mean, you don't say stuff like that. If I'm a grassroots organizer and I start putting stuff like that together and show it to the BCC, they would laugh in my face, and I wouldn't presume to do it. Without prior understanding with them that this is how things were going to be. So all of this has been discussed behind closed doors already.
Now, and this is just a meeting for the camera, for the recorder, so that they can explain why Arthur O'Hare is spending a lot of time gathering information for something that they've never done before, that they're just going to pass straight on to SOS. It is part of trying to force it down our throats. You watch. Prediction, Connie Roach is going to get involved at this in some point because she's the county assessor. We need to pass out an information thing in the bills so that people will understand what's at stake. Well, what's at stake is children, and what's at stake is the person that had their home broken into. And we're not going to have any jail anymore. That's what's at stake because, of course, as everybody agrees, we're not going to get any more federal payments. And so, gosh, it's just too bad that we have nobody that we can tap for all the money that we absolutely need because there's no other resource.
Yeah, this is just, you know what? We need to rotate. Not only do we need to rotate the elected officials, we need to start rotating staff. Jay Meredith, you're on the block, buddy. You should be on the block along the entire city council should be replaced. The mayor should be replaced. And then we should replace them with people who agree that there's certain policies that they should be in charge of and that the staff should not. And we give the staff their marching orders, not the other way around. And Jay Meredith is got these people, he's puppeting them on a string here and telling them what he's going to do. This guy's, he's a little Hitler.
He's the finance director for the city and the head of SOS.
Yeah, this is,
Hello?
you know what? I don't like it, man. I'm telling you, the more I learn about this guy, the less I like him.
Well, here's our promise to you. We're doing it early. Their plans are accelerating. Our following them is accelerating. We're not just following them anymore. We're out ahead of them, pointing the camera backwards, and we're seeing them as they're charging forward. We're telling you everything earlier than anybody else. We're keeping track of what they're doing. We're predicting what they're doing, and successfully so far on every one of them. We're going to keep track of these characters because we're going to need to do that for almost another year. Almost. They won't be out until January. Mike?
You know what? Listen, if these people were honest, if these people cared about the community, if they cared about you, they would tell you straight up what their plans are. But they're not. This is a clandestine little operation here. And you won't know. You won't know what's happening. You won't know that that Cheryl's gone around our back to the state until it's happened.
She's already doing it. Arthur O'Hare's already working on this project. This is no joke. And so what do they? Oh, well, we're going to give you instructions. They're not giving him instructions. He already knows this. He's doing it already.
Yes, but I assume that there are certain prerequisites, certain things that you must accomplish before you say, okay, Governor Kate Brown, we have all the conditions that exist for 3453. Come and get us. I mean, you have to make the case for that. That is what this project is. It is nothing more than that. They know damn well they're not getting a levy passed. This is for the purpose of rationalizing the implementation of 3453 and making the case to the state. That is what this is about.
Because they're going to then say, we pass this information on to the people, and they just won't listen. And you've heard Dan DeYoung say it. You've heard Mayor Fowler say it. You've heard Roy Lindsay say it. You heard them lecture to the commissioners. And so Walker got her marching orders.
Yeah, so all those people that you heard named in the last minute, we need to get rid of all those people, all of them. They are all not good for this county. They are enemies of the people. And I'm not suggesting any radical action, but what I'm saying is these are the 20%ers. These are the 20%ers, and I'm referring to the 80-20 split that took place when people voted down the sales tax. People don't want this. They don't want it, and you're wanting to force it upon them against their will. Now think of that, and think of the oath of office that you took when you took the job that you took.
Mike, I just wish you wouldn't have such a lackadaisical attitude about this. I mean, is there any way that we can get you just a little bit more excited about this issue? I agree with you that you listen. I mean, if the governor's hearing anybody, if state officials are hearing anybody, they're hearing our elected officials. They don't want to hear from us. Are you kidding me? If you put other elected officials in there who actually represent what you feel, then they're going to be giving an entirely different message to the state legislature because who are they going to believe? You call them, they're going to say, it's another one of those nutcases from Josephine County. Right. It's going to be entirely different if you have a couple of elected officials, and they're going to have a hard time. But you know what these guys, what Cheryl and Simon especially are doing, and Keith is, somebody wake him up, what they're doing about this. They're going up there and they're saying, we've done our very best. You heard what Roy Lindsay said. The people just won't listen no matter what you say to them. It's impossible to tell them the information. And you also heard what Herman Bertschiger said. Well, there's no consensus. There's just no consensus. So we need to set a price tag on it. Set a price tag on what, Herman?
Right.
On what?
This is all laying the groundwork for what we know is coming ultimately. And listen, I want to tell you, you know, I see that these people are enemies, but this is not for the purpose of, you know, we don't do anything that is outside the boundaries of, you know, politics. And politics, this is how you get rid of these people, is you mobilize people politically to make this happen. You got to primary these people, get rid of them, make it decisive. I mean, really get your friends together, make it decisive. We need to get rid of these people. They're constantly proposing things that the people don't want, and that's obvious that they do this.
Proven that they don't want it. Yeah. Now, no matter
their track record is abysmal. That's the only thing I'm suggesting. I just want to be very, very clear about that. That I get very, very animated. I'm not suggesting anybody do anything outside the political process. Do not do that. Okay?
No, he's not, obviously not going to suggest. And look, I know a lot of you are disappointed about what looks like the crash and burn of the recall of Simon Hare, but there is a way that you can still do that. No matter who we put our faith in to do this, it just doesn't matter anymore, okay? Because that guy, that's just not happening. But there is something you can do about it. You elect 2 fiscal conservatives, and what they will do in office is they will listen politely to Simon Hare. He'll have every chance to speak that he wants, and then they will vote 2-1, 2-1, 2-1. That's how you nullify the effect of Simon Hare.
Well,
you're not going to get the recall. It's not going to happen. Okay, I put in my form. Mike puts in it. We'll give you the forms. You can fill them out. Realistically speaking, that the numbers just aren't there. We don't know. And we're not going to know.
Here's the thing. Simon Hare is not a strong leader personality. If there's 2 people in there that have a determined course of action, Simon's going to fall in line with these people.
That's correct.
You're not going to be voting 2-1, 2-1, 2-1. Most of the time, it's going to be unanimous. And that's how it'll be. You'll just have there's a new sheriff in town, and this is how it's going to be. And it'll become clear to him, and he'll step up and do the right thing, I guess, you know.
But those 2 people are sure not going to go to a joint city-county meeting and go, yeah, surely, I definitely agree with you. Why? As Dan DeYoung said, well, you know, they've got their hand out. Oh, yeah, you're sure right about that. These people won't do that. The city council may not even want to meet with them because they're not going to agree with them. They're going to say, what, nicely, politically correct? What, are you crazy? That's what's going to happen. Mm-hmm. It's up to you. This is what the city voters did. They were counted on. The mayor, the council president, and the others, they counted on these people. They knew what they were going to do, and they reversed it on them, and they were shocked. You can do that. You do have the power. It's really the only power you do have is at the ballot box. And you can decide, you know, look at the various alternatives. Please don't pick a single issue candidate. It's only talking about just that one thing. Oh, I'm pretending that I'm talking about other things. It's like SOS. They're not interested in 10 things. They're interested in one thing. Pick the right people, get them in there, and they will actually represent you and your feelings. They will put you first. That's what I think.